are going to take an intermission after what is the second act. So just know that you'll have a chance to mix and mingle. There's some water and candy outside. The bathrooms, the women's restroom, there's a couple of stalls in this one here, plus a single multi-purpose use restroom here. There's also an additional men's restroom upstairs. I hear, don't use the one on the left.
Yes. Don't use the one on the left.
Don't use the one on the left. Just don't. Yeah, so thank you so very, very much to all of you guys for being here. The show in total runs about 2 hours. The first act is it's just under an hour. The second one's just a tiny bit longer. So thank you for being here and welcome.
Fortune's King by Lydia Kapp. Place, the kingdom of Giribon. Time, something reminiscent of Elizabethan times, the Italian Renaissance, and modern day. A time which both resembles a world we know and takes us somewhere entirely new. Act 1, Scene 1. A throne room, warm and bright, with a very tall, thick, enchanting tree growing in the middle, just behind the throne. Large terracotta-colored columns designed exquisitely, pots of flowers, everything bright and beautiful, detailed yet simple. Enter Leon and Bruno, fencing. Michael enters behind them, unseen. All three wear blue robes.
Ha! Ha! Ah, you may be classed with us, you scraggly boy! But clearly, you're a full-born pigeon's egg! A weepy tart with blackberries for brains, a fed, sucked, pooping blubberhead of cat! And I'll not let you parade, your coothy youth parade these robes of blue which only scholars wear!
Forgive me, sir, but coming is the day when your sweet robes of blue shall age away. Or has it come already? Who can say?
Fly on you gleeking, spur-galled knave!
How kind of you! But really I'm a slave to truth and being right in every way.
You fat-headed, fallacious scholar, you speak lies!
Lord, may he see the wood in his own eyes!
Leon, Bruno, be still! Both of you.
But his ideas are stupid. Stupid face.
Oh, Leon, why do you, an educated man, protest whenever something alters course?
Because tradition, progression, kills its ancestry. All history and former ways of life would buckle to your will if you could fix the system as your wayward compass points.
I get it. You're too proud to realize the total lack of wisdom in your thoughts.
Oh, I'll buck you with my fists, you ignorant dolt!
Leon, you're near enough death already.
Hey!
Let us make these last few moments count.
Hey!
What is the nature of your argument?
Yes, to the point. Giribon, the brilliant kingdom where we stand, today attended voting booths to choose the people's representative to the king.
Of course, we do it every 7 years.
Yeah, but on this day, this truly special day, a precedent was set. Unlike the rest, the people chose a woman for the post.
She really won. Oh, happy day.
She did! Fortuna, lady of the court, our friend and former pupil, now deserves the highest praise of any common lord.
Your happy ignorance will soon advise the kingly ears. Fortuna is a gem, but I protest. The representative has always been a man and must still be.
Why must it be a man who's representative?
Tradition, failing which we lose our strength and flounder. Prime for taking plotted war. Nonsense!
This woman serves and honors Giribon. Remember also whence our student came. Fortuna, brilliant, diligent, well-loved. Earned her rank with character, not blood. Though once she was just but a common maid, what's more an orphan, if you do recall. She so impressed the queen as to compel that lovely royal, take her as her own, a daughter almost loved and trusted too. The queen's last wish was that Fortuna be made noble, so respected that girl.
I love the girl, believe me, love I do, but I cannot accept her in this role.
Enter Prince Basil. Scholars bow upon seeing him.
Leon and Bruno! Michael, friends, my friends! Can the folly of this day bear your belief?
Cannot, Prince. I am with you aghast.
Prince Basil, what does trouble skirt your eyes?
You must have heard the foul, atrocious news. Samson, my best friend, did not succeed as representative. The people chose Fortuna. Ha! Fortuna! The foul witch beguiled the entire kingdom with her wiles. The girl who smears me every chance she has. The girl who viciously declines to act with proper docile female sentiment and challenges literally everything I say. 'Tis she was who elected on this rank day.
Congratulations are in order then. Our world might still progress if given time.
Hang your progress and its vanity. Has the king announced her victory?
Alas, he did.
Alas.
Praise God.
Amen.
You bruise my heart foully to praise her win.
Your heart will tender back to you again.
Your mind is thick as fudge if you think Fortuna is prepared to claim this post.
I trust her preparation suits her well. After all, she was our student, same as you.
Sure, the lass was adequately trained, since I am the foremost teacher in the land. But still, I hold the one who represents the people to the king should be a man.
Why a man? When leaders prove by trust. The people's representative to their king requires training fuller than mere books. Both head and heart Fortuna brings to bear.
A shame that Basil spurned her in his youth. You might have ne'er provoked her boiling fire that spanned, 14 years? Since that sour day and ne'er inspired revenge that fuels her right to rise so high and slander you and yours.
She has no right! She's petty and unkempt.
Did you not tell her she would never amount to anything worth anything at all?
And didn't you also toss your wine at her?
He did, amidst the bustling harvest meal, and called her but a common baby girl.
Oh, go to! I never did such sort of thing. And even if I had, your evidence assists me in my valid argument. That she whose firm resolve that you so commend is but a harbinger of malcontent. What good's a leader riddled through with rage?
Enter the king and Samson.
Dear Samson, if your loss should cause you strife, rest sweetly in the knowledge of your place in my great heart. That paltry woman cannot steal from you your favor with the king.
My thanks, your majesty. The people chose what candidate they chose, so I will rest in spite of loss, however great it be.
Your countenance is well adorned with grace in face of such a frustrating result. Good men of your integrity are rare.
What argument I'd make in my defense sustains no value if others decide to push for someone else they'd rather choose. My disappointment I will ease away, and time will mend and soften failure's sting.
'Tis better than the last account you gave. What greatness thus is shadowed by the girl. I tremble thinking she will take your place. Michael, please attend Fortuna's side, and bring that beggar Victor to me now.
Michael exits.
Samson should have won. This is a farce.
If the people choose as their advocate a maiden literate and wisely taught, why should you scorn? Elected as she is, the woman who has garnered their respect.
The one who sings from propaganda's stool should not have asked a better judgment's choice. This judgment lacking in the populace, 'tis natural, of course, that flowery words of woman may with ease coerce their votes.
Yet false to say, she won in fairest stretch.
Speak not of fairness, friend, as it is false to call Fortuna fair in any sense.
A falser statement could you never make upon the visage of a woman so well bred.
Bred from making bread as well than yes.
Pray tell, where lays the anger of thy spleen? Encumbering invective such as this inclines my mind to guess your heart has lips.
Aye, and they would sing true wisdom's part. Fortuna's a hellish choice for represent. She knows the people, but what of that? What good arrives in knowing lesser men, and even worse, indulging in their requests? If commoners would have their way, all rule, all organized, constructed government, the which protects the rights of happiness for all the citizens under its reach, would disappear. Then the mob would eat itself to pieces, whining, "Where's our benefits?" Nowhere now, you stupid idiots.
Basil, your superiority is unbecoming, even when it's right. But hush this conversation. Miss Fortunate arrives to settle in with us, her kin. Whatever be our thoughts upon her gain, propriety of royal standard rules the loaded discourse we're about to share.
Enter Fortuna and Michael, surrounded by happy peasants.
I want the newest data from the fields, and get me all the stats from 3 years back. If irrigation measurements are off to even a degree, then we should start again immediately before the rainy season locks us into damaged crops.
Peasants cheer.
Fortuna! Fortuna!
Oh. King, I didn't see you there.
I noticed that.
The king stares at the peasants, who suddenly remember to take a knee. Fortuna still stands.
I humbly come in awe. I long have been their servant in my heart, but chosen as the people's voice to you, I giddy dream of what progress we'll make together for our kingdom's citizens. But first I revel in the chance to bow before your gracious and anointed feet.
Arise, fair maid. You are most welcome here. Congratulations, representative.
You honor me to make the office mine.
'Tis good that you are so highly esteemed. Since favor covers any unseen faults with general assumptions in the right, no better combination could you bring than pleasant ease with my constituents.
Thank you. The pleasure of their favor stirs my soul to honor their election and serve well.
The king smiles at the peasants.
You can go now.
Shocked back into propriety, the peasants bow again and quickly exit.
Now, scholars, I will ask your advice, and Samson, your opinion pleases me. Prince Basil, take good care of our fleet. We will return to celebrate her soon.
Exit King, Bruno, Leon, Michael, and Samson.
At last, the girl Fortuna wins a rank, thus giving her ranker an award.
Of course, my own success you cannot see as anything but failure for yourself.
Well, given that your honor is a ruse, defeat would be the accurate result.
Am I so loathsome to my gentle prince, whose charming arrogance has caused the dead to rise and question whether mortal end is worse than smelling still your wasteful pride?
Hath met you then, the dead, who you describe. They told me you were a comfort to their souls, and knowing all their sin and vicious thoughts, could never fashion battle with your own.
Viciously my thoughts should form themselves, I blame my teacher, who thou knowest well.
Yourself, I must admit, I poorly know, except for the indulgent smile I see.
Humility will not protect you, prince, from the credit you deserve for teaching me disdain. I laud you, teacher, the best of the best, for a haughtiness runs freely from your throat.
Is this the people's choice for their elect? A representative to the dear king whose core is made of saucy vanity. Too true, then, is the tear-inducing fact that unbeknownst she only plays the swan.
If happily the land elected me, then how is it you charge their favor plot?
Their happiness your faults do not deserve.
Oh, rich indeed the place I find myself to stand in close proximity to which, so oft unfurled, it loses continence.
And give up your game, Fortuna.
Am I game? A sport you've made of me since we began, but I will not plunge to proffer to your hand, your temperament, your intellect, your state. Fix your mind in permanence engraved, that though you mock, or burn, or rage, or whine, you cannot move me.
Leadership you lack.
Says the prince whose bed for him is made.
You question, sir, the power of my role?
The power, no, capacity, I doubt. I'd show so with all retching I could cause, for verified within the vomits mound would live the thought of Basil as a king.
And were they yours, the kingdom's keys to keep, one night being past, you'd lose them in your sleep.
A better queen than thousands of your kind, who'd spend that day gorging on himself, thus feeding and destroying one the same.
Ah, poor fish, Fortuna. You cannot truly think that you could better govern Yerevan.
So much as to convince the king that better son the female is than his. Your mother, his wife, thought so after all.
My mother overlooked the little fact that making you a lady couldn't change your past, your future, or that you're inept.
Well, you being born a prince sure didn't make a difference either, since you're still the most egregious, narcissistic fop alive!
Enough! Your voice is like a screeching cat. Come, girl, and tour the home you bought with lies.
No better tour guide than a goat.
Propriety becomes you like a hog.
Thank you.
Shall we?
Indeed.
Exit Basil and Fortuna. Enter King, Samson, Bruno, Leon, and Michael.
She quite arouses his ferocious wits.
And hers do match him spit for royal spit.
Their spit could better match for words enough to seal their lips in closer, wetter touch.
I'd rather see his wife than as she is. Candid, vain, atrociously confident. A woman weds, a husband beds and rules, and all the world sleeps soundly through the night. But her ambition loudly lungers forth with witty jokes and insults, far too blunt to merit a reply. But Basil takes them quick with injury, the easy fool.
Well, his pride forebodes an easy target, sire.
This very target now arrests my thoughts. My pompous son is no more apt to rule than she whose insults he rightly procures. Basil yet requires sharpening.
And how do you intend to sharpen him?
Exploitation of his prejudice. My son's aversion to Fortuna's kind will burgeon when I grant her absolute control of Giriban, for that is what I now intend to do. While I relax, vacationing down on the southern shore, I'll trust her with the land she represents and send my son to work within the town he knows so poorly. There he'll learn the craft of coupling brain with heart in leadership. Fortuna will so miserably fail her post that people will demand she be replaced, and Samson, you will cater to their cries. Then Basil, with newfound humility, will happily take the role his name portends, and prove to Giriban once and for all that men alone are strong enough to rule. But still yourselves, the ignorant draw near, and they must not have perfect planning here.
Enter Basil and Fortuna.
Good father, she's been shown a gracious tour. So happily the lady took my arm, I soon forgot she was common born.
Dear son, the queen approved Fortuna's rank so deeply that I'll trust her with my crown. To better grasp my meaning, I'll be frank. I have need to visit friends abroad, securing trade negotiations. Thus, the next 4 weeks while I am gone away, Fortuna, in my absence, shall reign as temporary king of Giriban.
Temporary what? Father, you jest. You know that in your absence it's the prince who always warms the throne till you return.
I do not jest, dear Basil, and you'll do well, as all shall do, to call Fortuna king. Not permanently, of course, but it seems right to leave the throne to whom the people love.
Love they not the son you surely love, enough to trust him with the crown you leave?
How can they love a prince they do not know? Your classist nature and classist nature quite inhibits friends.
You forfeit my true birthright to her, because I have no friends among the commoners? I will not ask for pardon in preferring the company of better men than peasants.
I have made my statement. Take me for my word.
Good king, please once more clarify. Your absence means to grant me stewardship? My breath has caught the stoic honor's gasp. To think you find myself of kingly word.
The people chose you to assert their voice. Of course, I find you worthy if they do.
Father will put substance to this prank.
Hold all opinions, more I have to add. Yourself will furnish richer character by spending time with Giriban's citizens. They long have wondered what their prince is like. 'Tis time they had a proper chance to know.
The king is serious in his request.
Most deadly so. Now, Samson, do you know a family who'd receive you and my son? I've heard relatives you have in town whose skills with bricks merit apprentices.
I do indeed, my lord. My uncle's friend has long been friend to me and friends of mine.
Excellent. To them you'll go, and joined by Basil, Bruno, and the fierce Leon. Good Michael, you remain invested here. Fortuna, our elect of Giriban, Officially, we honor you as king, however long we linger out of house.
I'm overwhelmed, but will uphold your place.
Prove it then as my departure. Yes, enlist with me in planning for our trip, and I'll reach you and Michael while we walk. Farewell, my son. Enjoy your time in town.
Exit King Fortuna and Michael.
Courageous is the king who leaves on whim,
What courage comes in nourishing a wreck?
the kind which uses thunder, sounds the flash, and trusts the noise will be enough to scare.
4 weeks is yet enough to kill a world.
You're far too harsh on her, my friend. Let go of your hostility and seize the chance to venture forth into a bigger world, the world where inconspicuous disguise will let you meet the people on their terms.
Oh joy.
Prepare ourselves, men as we are, for soon depart we hence and live among the norm.
And leave a blasted woman at the helm. Sweet robes of scholarship, this madness reeks of trouble, trouble, trouble. I go to please the folly of progress. If I don't come back, you'll know I died in vain.
Come, brother, we'll away.
Anon, I need a moment to myself.
He and Bruno exit.
Augmented is the sting of my regret, which does and doesn't argue with itself, given remorse is distant from my sight. I did humiliate, deny, and scorn her, and once I loved her. But that's besides the point. Alas, what should I do if not reject the woman whose unwomanly conduct has had my reputation slandered off to distant shores and whores of malcontent? Though on occasion I thought we'd reconcile, I was wrong. The concordant times were lies, and she, with laughing venom, won her game. And I've learned to trust in woman means to burn. A heart that's shed is weaker with the seam that bears no weight, but binds its owner's power to muddled idiocracy and stupid laughs. Most men pursue that union with another. Could I, a prince, be beckoned to this fate, so writ with holes and destined to be hanged? Sweet knowledge do confirm as love, an axe which whispers happiness even as it falls. I shall not bear my soul to see it crushed by a tree's evicting silence in the night. I go with Samson city-side to meet what lesson might await me in the street.
Act 2, Scene 1. The castle's dining hall. A long mahogany table with plates, silverware, decorations, tablecloth, etc., all ready to be placed for the king's breakfast meal. Enter baker and jester, eating bread and carrying utensils.
Your bread is somewhat lacking today, my friend.
How so?
I want the presence of your caretaker.
I have none but my wife.
Exactly. She is the best kind of bread on which to feast, save God, of course, who daily gives as we have need. But nightly hunger needs a thicker recipe.
Your tongue is thick enough already as it is.
Just enough to snugly fit its sheath.
Your cheeks which I will slap if you do not drop all mention of Marigold.
As you please. She's yours to guard and cherish as you wish. And that, my friend, is a better gift than the rest of your life will ever grant you. Who would long for more than a good woman? Once had to have again, whenever one would long.
A woman is meant for more than stretching to a man's passion.
You think so? What then is her purpose with a man?
To rule equally with the king of her heart.
And if she has no king, but rules herself, such as Fortuna?
A woman cannot live without a king. If she be that king, then all is well. But a woman cannot respect the man who fears to be the author of his suit, and a man cannot love the woman who fears to let herself be sued. As for Fortuna, and if she be the king of her heart, I judge that she is, and she rules her heart tightly. No man could crack the solid walls of that stout female.
And if one could?
Well, then she learns the joy of being queen.
A second slot.
Nay, you discredit the mutual give and take.
Oh, I love the give and take, believe me. But don't you agree that a relationship cannot wear 2 pairs of pants.
It could make things harder.
Harder, yes. All the more reason to stay close together.
Quit turning my words against me.
Enter Marigold.
What's this? 2 men chatting about relationships? I should think you were women nested in your elements.
Ne'er so well nested as you this morning, Marigold. Whose birds do fetch my eyes? What good is philosophic love when faced with its tangible subjects?
Stop it! Fine! Oh, sweet wife, ignore him. He is grossly impetuous.
My dear, you are so good to protect me from imps. But what have you 2 been doing? Wasting precious time on idle conversation? Fortuna will be here shortly.
Right you are, my love. Back to work.
What think you, Marigold, of our new king?
Fortuna. She's out. In just 2 weeks, she's settled that irrigation dispute, solved the parsnip problem, and arranged another yearly fabric festival. The kings of Basis have been pushing that for a year, but he didn't see the sense of it.
She also reorganized the accounts so that extra money goes to the city library to start free reading and writing classes.
Do you think the king will keep her reforms?
Certainly not. But the people are being treated like they matter. They may not settle for less when he returns.
Enter Fortuna, unseen.
True, true. But the real question, can Fortuna ward off invasion?
Whose invasion?
Hendrik, Prince of Fairn. Rumor is he knows the king is gone and means to profit by it.
Where did you hear this?
Remember when I went to care for my mother last week?
We were all surprised Fortuna let you go.
As was I.
Is your mother well?
She is, thank you. When I left her, I ran into an old friend who hunts in the forest north of the border. Better to her, less cautious. Anyway, he heard something about a large Fairnian hunting party. Something like 100 men.
Suspicious, sure, but 100 men are too few to take Girabon.
If Hendrik does invade, we'll be sorely lacking in our welcome, given that you, my dear, wasted an hour on idle talk. Get to work, and you, stop distracting my husband.
I am the lesser distraction in your presence, O Queen of Desire.
Ha! Remove yourself and your flattery, welcome as it may be. Fortuna will have breakfast in not but 2 minutes, and you have set us behind by 10.
My hunger wants for little on this morn, though I am grateful for your diligence.
Good lady. Oh, I mean king. Forgive our presence.
What's more, forgive the state the table's in, we'll fix it quick and bring your breakfast.
Neither worry for the table nor the meal. A piece of bread will satisfy my need.
Oh, nonsense, lady. King, you have the best.
Baker, please. You know I have an affinity for your bread, ever since I would visit you as the queen's maid. My garments may have changed over the years, but in an instant I would steal to you again if I could but sit and listen to your stories while you bake, munching on one of your delicious rolls.
You're always welcome to visit me, Lady Fortuna.
I will indeed, as soon as time permits.
But your food, dear king, will be off to fetch your feast.
Truly, bread is enough, thank you.
I will return with my best loaf.
Baker exits. Marigold continues setting the table.
How fare you, friends, on this excellent day?
Thank you, Your Highness. Most favored.
Most well, thank you.
Anything troubling you this morning?
Nothing, my lady.
Oh, Jester, you are well schooled in smiles. Still, I heard you speak of rumored war.
'Twas gossip, no more.
We fear nothing with your highness on the throne. Never before has Girabad been more sure of their leader.
How kind of you. Be assured that I will never let invasion claim our land. We watch every sway and swagger of Prince Hendrik's cocky gait, waiting for his stumble, which is the inevitable effect of him wearing pants too tight to hold the cotton. Yes, Lord Hendrik is a prince, but his manhood is a question for which even he requires compensation in reply.
Your Highness's humor is equipped with excellent vigor.
Best survival in a realm of lies is telling truth with wit behind one's eyes.
Enter Baker with bread.
Is your breakfast, lady? Nice and
A
hot.
wheat roll with raspberry jam, my old favorite.
My pleasure, my lady. All mine.
Well, leave your majesty to eat in peace and quiet.
Good day, good friends.
Exit Baker and Marigold. The jester makes to leave as well.
Merry be your jests.
And not so merry yours. or else you'll have my job as swiftly as the king's.
Stay a moment, Jester. Are you as smart with a sword as you are with words?
I am average, my lady.
Will you spar with me? I am want for practice.
You'll make a fool of me, but to be so is my job.
Excellent. I promise not to laugh at you.
Fortuna takes one sword from the wall and tosses a second to the jester. He tries to catch it, but...
Oh, do not promise not to laugh. You'll deny yourself a great deal of fun.
All right, then.
They spar. Fortuna is very good. The jester is adequate. She bests him, knocking his sword out of his hands. He dances over to it and picks it up. Michael enters unseen.
You are quite skilled, Lady Fortuna.
Oh, I've been sitting for 2 weeks. I'm desperate for some sport.
A match with me fails to be sport, more a demonstration of impotence.
You are sweetly self-ridiculing, Jester.
What's this?
Michael. Good morning. We were sparring.
I see that. Jester, leave us, please. Now.
You got it.
The jester puts away his sword and exits.
The harshness in your tone forebodes a lecture.
He's for your entertainment, King, not mine. If swordplay makes you happy, let it be, but I have matters of importance to discuss with you. Meet me in the council rooms anon.
Michael exits.
He seems aloof and tattered for his age. But never mind. He too must call me king. I did not seek nor ever would request to find available the crown I wear, but I admit the pleasure of its weight. Its former absence brought no strong desire, for then its force was undisclosed to me. A joy unknown creates no crying hole. However, now possessiveness inclines this wearer to become owner of her prize. Well, what limit ends my royal management escapes me. Wisdom tells me it is brief. Therefore, I will enjoy the moment's turn and give them all a chance from me to learn.
Fortuna replaces her sword, grabs her breakfast, and exits. Act 2, Scene 2. Enter Prince Hendrik of Fern with a select group of soldiers. They are on their way to Girabon, disguised as common men.
My lord, we found the borders of the land Girabon is quiet, for she lacks all knowledge of our covered approach.
Most excellent, Captain. You've done well. Forward, men! The battle which storms within your bloody limbs prepared for war sequesters victory with quickened pudding to the siege. Yes, we fall on Girabon with swift and unannounced advantage. Bear your torches straight to twist the chains that guard the castle's royal soon bereft. Yet, release your fury not for death on those whom you meet, but rather let no man behold the silver of your sword without the heel of its unbending weight upon his brow. Let all the mighty pulse of Fern's begotten warriors forward push a straight and settled path to castle walls. Waste no time in tackling the streets, for I desire no over-necessary bitterness within the hearts of those whose king I soon shall be. It is inside the stony caps of court, where permanently I will win the war with being wed unto the woman who does them represent. Ah, 'tis she, the same Fortuna, who the king abandoned, whose sweet hand I will demand. With her upon my arm and in my bed. I, Hendrik, Prince of Fern, will steal the crown. Now fly, and then we'll tear the beggars down.
Exit. Act 2, Scene 3. Enter Basil, Samson, Bruno, and Leon carrying large bags of bricks. Basil separates from the group, drops his bag dramatically onto the ground, and leaves in silence.
Who knew a bag of bricks would well adorn the prince? But it is true, though bitterly his highness flounders in the money trade, so handsome I have never known his face, has lived with evidence of honest work.
A brother have I been to him for years, and I maintain you are correct in this. His head denies the obvious change we see, but I await the dawning of its make, with hopes the good I know in him will out.
Better his than ours, for I am spent. No good remains in me. I gave it all to schlepp these bricks. and bricks and bricks and bricks.
Your hands will wear their calluses with pride.
If hands I still maintain pass this test.
Look at the boy. He mumbles under breath, and most likely whispering disgruntlement, though shunned our conversation, he sure did.
Yeah, aloud I tell my own deserved complaint. This work is hard, and harder with the heat.
The heat and work are trifles to our prince. To build with bricks, while she, Fortuna, rules, 'tis this the bitter stirring in his breast.
Might talking to his wit unearth a smile?
It's as possible. His silence needs a friend.
Why, Basil, what has kept you so aloof?
Your company is wanted by our clan.
What company can Basil now return to tell them whose commerce runs with merry charm? I'd rather eat my share of dust than start the engines of a lying happy act.
Your happiness was not in our request.
No? Forgive me then for so inferring that company you keep referring to fun and joy and rancid smiles occurring, denying we are mad and money burning.
Ooh, well said.
Come, come, your anger is your own. Do not attempt to spread it to your friends.
My fire should accompany your calls when banished from the castle we must toil and seethe inside our flesh with bursting boils, whose cause belongs to kingly negligence as much to bloody sunlight in her jail. Fortuna plays the king of Garaman!
Oh, still your wicked outburst in its flow. The king's departure was not made unplanned.
The city ripples news to her reward.
You kill me to report in such a stance. You realize she offices my role, this wild assassin of my character, my father, gifted with my royal place, the very woman who's designed her life around the rapid ruining of mine. And yet you tell me I should accompany myself amongst yourselves, my honest sport to say the woman wears the crown so well?
Come, Basil, let us find another subject.
No other subject begs for my concern. How that fish Fortuna sours the air.
I trifle you with spite. This is your chance to know firsthand your kingdom's beating pulse. The very people I would represent, had I been chosen following these votes, are at your fingertips, my royal prince. Beneath the guise of common garb, you stand most opportunely placed to know their hearts.
Such hearts that found and find that bargain girl a profit for my kingdom? I refuse.
Then use this time to teach them all the truth.
At least remove yourself from the mud.
Wallowing in mud makes perfect sense, and princely spirits wail their right defense.
But come! Your peak is acidly entrenched. Do you not at least somewhat like the work? Contending with the dirt to win the brick.
No happiness will I ever allow, besides the giddy fact that I can vent. Behoove yourselves and flounder not with me. Speaking stirs no joy while she yet lives.
It seems you are forsworn to play the beast. Come, scholars, let's away and let the prince beget his own unhappiness.
Exit Samson, Bruno, and Leon.
Oh, I know they intend to bring me peace, but neither want nor will can budge this spell depressing me with every dusty breath. Father, being sudden in his leave, must have ventured secretly possessed. Sure, he would have thought that she would fail. My father never liked a woman's brain. He would not see she is indeed elect in more than people's hearts. She well walks life. As much as I empathetically deny, my honest thoughts reveal she is a queen, at least in all but that which deals with me. And so what home remains for exiled prince when common woman guides the country best?
Enter Concelia, dressed in bricklaying clothes, wearing a hat to guard against the sun.
What fellow comes here working bricks like me? Cannot have but 18 years at most. His clothes are warped and tattered, while his boots wear weeds like muddy stickers in their sides. Now here is such a fellow as Samson said I had a chance to meet within these streets. A common folk. I am not ignorant. I know that I must get to know my men. Therefore, I'll set aside my kingly speech and try my hand at the vernacular. Hello there! How often come you to work?
Every day, same as anyone with the
does not one also spend when working? That is, there one has worked long and hard, one is also spent.
I had rather be a spender. So I work.
And well spoken. What's your name, boy?
You call me boy? What counsels you in such a calling?
Ah, forgive me. I took you for one of the men who works the bricks.
Does my being a woman deny me my work?
It proves your work. Only bricklaying is most unusual. It is hearty manual labour. A woman should not be forced to suffer such taxing tedium.
Think you so little of women as to determine what burdens we are able to endure?
No, indeed, no. I think not little, but much. And this higher loft did inform me to anticipate you were a working boy, not an eloquent girl.
Does my job somehow change my sex or deny me eloquence? Such a thought would be laughable, but I see you clearly believe it.
I clearly see you are no boy. And while I clearly see you lay bricks, I also clearly hear your strength of words. Therefore, I am bent to say your station changes nothing but my former ignorance, for which I'll ask thee again forgiveness.
Buzz off. Your bricks lay idle while you talk yourself into holes.
If I'll have not your forgiveness, at least grant me your name.
For what purpose?
None but to address a lady.
To unaddress a lady. Quite contrary to the sex you so perfectly represent, for whom to undress a lady is far more common. Therefore, I'll give you no name, for you deserve it not.
You banish my goodwill with sweeping nature against all men? And yet you do not know who I am or what I do to you?
Do you think your fancy words can change what experience has taught me since my birth? They cannot, sir, and therefore you will not have my name, or any name by which you may claim my friendship.
Your friendship? Never said I wanted that. I only seek a tag to which to distinguish you as she who speaks well, and not some other girl who lacks the diction and the smarts.
You have not known many women, have you?
Excuse me.
If you had, you would not think my intelligence so rare.
I've known many women.
I pity them.
One woman in particular who you quite remind me of.
Of her, I remind you, and yet you knew not at first I was a woman. I wonder how she tolerates you.
Much the same as you, actually, tossing my words back at me.
I think I like this woman. Does she fight you out of sport?
Sport and more, but what's more is past and should bury itself.
I sense some intrigue in those words. What further reason has her spite?
And the story is long and hard of hearing.
Well, if you have never really been a man, I won't ask you to become one on such short term.
I am a man! Very naughty man.
Yet, you refuse the chance to prove it. You did call me boy, for which I've not, as yet, forgiven you. I might, if you confess to me your hardy man's story.
You'll trade forgiveness for a story.
Rather gracious of me. Come on, I'll work the bricks and pretend not to listen.
Thus common blackmail sends me to my tomb. Alas, I'll accept this challenge in full expectation of my reward.
On my honor, you shall be forgiven.
Very well. The vile woman of whom I speak was once my childhood friend. Although our states were very different, I did fancy her for a time. Actually, she was my favourite friend and very fun to talk to.
A perfect match for fancy.
However, women are not men, and while they're fun to play with in the nursery, I belong to a long line of important fathers whose business is very important and whose imports cannot bear a common woman's opinion, however well balanced it may be. Leadership, solitary.
Why should leadership mean the end of friendly love?
Friendly love is natural, of course, but I should not let hers linger when my path would never allow for its undoubted growth. So I broke the friendship.
How did you break it?
Efficiently.
By what means?
Public.
Well, naturally, she loathes you.
Her hatred has more venom than is due. She's made it her life's goal to ruin me, and her unfortunate success in this measure has so loftily arranged her status that others do not see her witchy insides.
All of which was brought on by your being an ass.
I only acted as a man out of my business must. Even if I had been fond of her, my state would not support the stooping to her level.
Oh, to what state do you belong, oh owly bricklayer, that you cannot embrace the love of such a worthy woman?
Enter Samson. Good brother,
I return to know your state of mind, and if it has improved with solitude, only to find you companion with one whose obvious strength does not deny her grace and beauty, like the smile of blossoming spring.
She's indeed this combination, a worker and a woman, as I learned.
Dear lady, I must thank you for chatting with my moody friend.
Your friend is quite the talker.
The sound of his own voice is his favorite lullaby.
So true! And it took me very little time to know it.
Come now, you invade yourself mid-speech, much as I.
Well, if I did, you started it.
She is the better player, following your rules.
Our game was even, and I'm a happy victor.
You? Victorious?
I won some truth from you.
You won honesty from him? You must be a goddess. May I know your name?
Though we argued long, she refused to give me her name.
Gladly, I'm called Concilia.
Naturally, she tells you.
Celia, it is my pleasure and my privilege to voice such a lovely name.
And may I know your name, friend of this fulminator?
Call me Sam, and this man you may call Bane, as the rest of us do.
Oh.
Yes, he rails against the label, but that only proves it more precise.
So glad you two are getting along.
When he first met me, he took me for a boy.
Did he really? You promised me forgiveness.
I never promised silence.
I fully support your casual indictment of his mistake.
Thank you, Sam. One must be reminded, Bane, of one's flaws in order to conquer them in the future.
Thus, character is born of humiliation.
Oh, lucky I had both of you take up my instruction of my character.
You see, he's already learning to better appreciate us.
We shall simply have to embarrass him upon every possible occasion. Doing so guarantees him a slow but full return from his massive ego trip.
Agreed. Is it too soon to begin again?
Better his conversion be quick as possible.
Right, let's do it then.
Enter Bruno and Leon.
Good sirs and lady, we have urgent news.
The bloody bastard Hendrik had made his move.
What's this?
At noon, Prince Hendrik entered Girabon. Disguised as common folk, they took the gates and set a path directly to the keep, and now they barricade their tail, impeding all attempts to stop them. An hour remains before Fortuna must capitulate.
Whence came this word?
Why in the streets, just now?
Did Fortuna call her people to respond?
No, my lord, the castle stands alone.
Will she now return this plunge with force? The people who elected her will fight?
She's a politician, not a king, whose promise to protect the people still determines her decisions. She'll not call the conscript army, though she should.
No, you judge too quickly.
No, she is far too stubborn to submit. Still, I'll send word of what to do. If Samson, you will fly its deliverance fly, perhaps we can still insulate the fort and soundly keep Fortuna from its defeat. That is, if she'll be humble and obey.
Oh, this will work out well.
Sounds of shouting, drums, and war in the background.
You know Fortuna? The one who stands as king? What men are you?
Perhaps you should ask your new friend Sam to divulge my proper name.
Can I not ask you?
When you gave me not your own?
We waste precious time with these introductions.
Indeed. Leon, some paper for my message.
Leon whips out some paper and a pen. Basil writes his note to Fortuna.
I can guess. Are you indeed the Prince of Girabon?
The truth you speak, Concilia, endangers you, and I would not see you harmed.
Lady, you must leave at once. And we, Prince Basil, we must conceal ourselves. You'll be sought out when you are not found.
Well, that makes sense.
We cannot leave Concilia alone. Dear Basil, let her join in your company.
May I, my Lord Prince, have the honor of accompanying you?
Oh! My Lord Prince now, eh? You are very quick. I'll give you that.
And safety.
Safety? Sure. I'll give you that too. Because I can.
The sounds of drum and war are getting louder.
But Samson, you must take this letter now. Without my aid, most surely she will fall.
I go, my lord.
And surely if she fall, so will we all.
Exit. Act 2, Scene 4. The drums are very loud now. They did not stop pounding between this scene and the last. Enter Fortuna and Michael.
My lady, troops are breaking down your doors.
Prince Hendrik is a fool to play his cards at such a time as this. They'll fall like stones.
Fortuna, I believe with all my heart that you are truly worthy of this post. But Girabon will fall to Hendrik's men, unless we fortify our ranks as I propose.
The troops we have fight valiantly. They'll win.
They won't, my lady. They will simply die. The castle-summoned men cannot outlast this unexpected siege. They are not enough. But the city will support you in your cause. If reinforcements pull the fire to the streets, we equalize at least a fighting chance. Announce it to the people that the men must sacrifice their hearth and home to win the battle with which we'll get both back again.
Conscripted service makes the people slaves.
Better than fight in force than give themselves as booty to the Prince of Fairn.
And what of death and his eternal life? Will not my order make them booty yet?
'Tis written in the city's honor code that should invasion come, the citizens will take up arms, defending Girabon.
I know this well. I am a citizen. And yet I am the representative whose charge is to protect our citizens from overarching stale authority. Yes, as I'm king, our circumstances plead a forced reckoning of troops and war. But as I'm steward of the people's pleas, I will not dictate innocents their
The
deaths.
soldiers who fulfill their honored vows are as innocent as those you would protect.
Very loud noise of a gate crashing through.
Those souls decided so to give their lives. What offered they, I cannot soon demand of others who belong in cottages.
Without their help, we will be overwhelmed.
Murder writes his name down in my book if I require the people to engage. They are bricklayers and farmers. They will all be slaughtered at our gates, and they will die protecting she who swore their lives secure.
You are the king, as long as he who's king has left the post to you. You must decide.
I never asked for this. Only poisoned crowns arrive with drums of war. But such a crown is mine to wear for now. All right, you may conscript the city now.
Sweet Lady King, you are a rare delight. You partly love with sagely rationale. I have a message which confirms my speech.
What message?
From the prince. Samson stuck it through the...
Basil writes to me at such a time?
You know what second thought?
Michael tries to hide the letter, but Fortuna takes the letter and reads it.
How dare this fool attempt to make my choice by writ proposal when his uppish self is banished from the court? I am the king. I will not adhere to his advice.
Which is?
Come, general. Arouse our soldiers' blood and remove the call I gave to you just now. We will settle for what soldiers we retain.
And of the other general, my king?
I will not sacrifice their lives.
Because of Basil's letter saying so?
I will not kill my people. Volunteers, I'll beg. 'Tis cruelty makes a soldier give his future when his heart is not enjoined.
My king, your pride is not put forward true.
Enough! I will not make my people die for me.
Fortuna!
Lord Hendrik boils for a fight. I'll give him one. Let others sleep at night.
Exit Fortuna. Michael chases after her. Act 2, Scene 5. Hendrik calls from off stage before entering with his top soldiers. The rumble of the rest of the army is heard. A menacing, unseen presence. The castle is about to fall prey to its predators.
Great company of men, cry out! Huzzah! Whose land is Girabon?
Ours!
Whose triumph is at hand?
Ours!
Go forth and decimate these foreign walls. Forget not the intent that steals your will, gives guide unto your feet, unto your swords, and soon portends immediate victory!
Rush on stage, swords in hand and yelling fiercely. Hendrik follows them, watching them charge ahead. He spends a moment surveying their trajectory, then he too charges ahead. Intermission!
Girabon. She's of course.
Inferno lay on Samson and Concelia.
Refused to listen? Disobeyed the prince?
Basil, would you please just let it go?
The soldiers took Fortuna and her walls. They'll soon discover that you hide disguised within the city streets. They'll come for you.
Hides disguised? Do you intend to stir what bitter anger lingers in this pot? Did I select this bricklayer's uniform? Did I costume this royal skin to defend the state that Fortuna gave away? Label me no soft, disguised prince. Well, I was exiled by my father's choice.
Exiled or not, your temper makes your presence known.
You are far too brazen for your age.
I learned from the instruction I received.
And this clever maid deserves her worth in gold. For all her quick retorts, I do approve.
Children, stop this bickering. We must create a means to take the city back.
I send my good advice to closed ears. Let she who trashed my wisdom now endure the consequences of her foolish choice.
We're talking about Garibon, my friend. Forgo your pride and help Fortuna win.
We're all aware you loved her long ago.
We are.
We are.
We are.
Oh, shut your traps. That something once affected suffered death.
I'd say you like her still. She's such a frequent subject on your list.
The common lady speaks some common sense.
That's the fattest nonsense I ever heard.
You talk about her quite a lot. Like, a lot. Makes me wonder.
I too suspect the same.
You step on straws that not wear your name.
In truth, she has more cause for hate than you.
The way that you refused her was so cruel. And she refuses me when it is best to hearken to my words, whatever the past. She's made her feelings clearer than my own. So puff the memories. What's done is done.
The truth is out. I see it on your face.
I see the same. A reddish blush.
Enough! This topic fiddled out of tune.
You've made the woman out to be a crone, when all this time a hope for love is stored inside your painful mutual dislike.
All right, you better drop the subject now.
He's right, you know. Her hatred is a cloak to hide as best she can a tenderness for you, as idiotic as you are.
Well, I'm out. Have fun, my so-called friends.
Basil, don't be shy. Love is a gift. Basil, hey. Stop running now. Come on.
Exit Samson running after Basil.
And once again the coward prince departs.
And worse is that he runs from fear of love.
Here comes Samson. Back so soon.
He entertains me. Oh, he does that, man. And also, he is faster than I am.
Well, he's gone. Now what is to be done?
We must prepare a plan to save the girl.
Concelia, you were awfully quick to find the honesty of one whose ransomed heart was locked to me, his longest, oldest friend. Your swift perception hungers for reward.
What reward do I deserve?
At least the vow of an admiring gentleman. Perhaps also the kissing of your hand, if you'll allow.
Not as a reward, since I'm to blame for scaring off the prince, but to honor a gentleman's request, I will permit it.
Your calluses are firm.
They come from working hard.
Someday I may request your instruction.
Perhaps someday I may instruct you.
Come, lady, and her suitor. Let's set forth and search for Basil, for he'll soon be found. If not by us, by Hendrik's deadly men. Your calluses will still be working then.
Act 3, Scene 2. The castle kitchen. Marigold cuts vegetables. Baker enters in a frenzy.
Quick, get some boiling water. Hendrik is on his way.
Coming here to the kitchen?
Yes, and I haven't cleaned since this morning. Oh, God.
Shall we poison him? My love, we haven't done that in a while.
I thought about it, but I'm all out of nightshade.
Oh, that's a shame. Well, we'll put out some of my cookies then.
As if some cookies could appease a warrior prince. But then again, I know how delicious your cookies are and how quickly they erase any thoughts but tasteful ones.
Enter Jester.
A fact made sure with pronunciation of action, therefore, Marigold, I'll gladly test your taste myself.
Away, foul mooch. I am not for you.
I only catch a bite.
One which getting would undress your honor and bite you in the ass.
A punishment more lovely than the crime. Please do undress my honor.
Enough! These spoons are not nearly special enough to keep from whipping you.
Nor these eggs fair trade enough to keep from cracking on your head.
Then let you and I together whip your eggs and fulfill both threats in one thrust! You cheeky bastard!
Speak not of cheeks! He'll turn your words against you.
You and I are one in thought.
Does your thought pertain to expulsion? Or I will quickly force you out.
I will quickly come again.
Jester, I will permanently injure you in the proper place if you do not cease this very instant your unashamed advances on my wife. Any further attempt, and I will forcibly remove from you the equipment needed to furnish it. Am I understood?
You are.
Good. Now, sit down. Ah! Footsteps! Footsteps! Alive, everybody!
Enter Hendrik. He is followed by Fortuna and Michael, who are roughly ushered in by Hendrik's men. Their hands are bound with thick rope. Michael's face is covered in fresh blood. 3 more soldiers close in on the baker, the jester, and Marigold.
Quite hard at work are these fine gentlemen. Scrumptious-looking lady. Are they not?
Their behavior does imply a cooking spree.
It is merited. They will soon provide a feast to welcome me to Giraban, along with all my men, and you, of course.
Our cooks are known for having excellent instinctual reasoning as food's concerned.
How eloquent you are! Let's test this place. Run your finger across this countertop. Tell me of your opinion. Is it clean?
You have a finger tested so yourself.
My finger is for other purposes. Do still that yet already forming wit which rallies words to challenge my demand, in favor of a soft and true reply, as best befits the beauty of your sex.
Beauty is no hindrance to a mind, albeit dangerous in tempting men to think so for overwhelming them.
Thus, the wordsmith manufactures thoughts which prove her lovely and intelligent. It is this combination she displays to which I will appeal to answer me, for I would have thy obedience with all thy varied and honest glories intact. Therefore, your finger, lady, I implore.
Hendrik's men start to close in on Michael. Fortuna raises her bound hands in protest.
No.
She runs a finger along the counter.
Excellent. What judgment do you make?
'Tis clean, O prince, and ready to be used.
Most excellent! Now, baker, bring our lass a juicy steak that's fit for hungry kings.
Aye, my lord.
The baker exits, followed by a menacing soldier.
Hunger not, my lord, and need no food.
Lie in faith. I know you surely do. My men all watched you, silent in your room until my presence I could make in full, thus being several hours of captive time, more meals than one you've missed. Thus now I will repair the grumbling holes I've heard aloud, projecting from the swivel of your waist.
Enter baker with a plate of meat.
Here's the fellow, quick with plate and toast, set it on the table. Michael, please remove the chair before your hands that our Fortuna may enjoy the pleasure of a meal while sitting down.
I will not do a single thing you say.
I am not weary, sir, I need no seat.
You will sit down, my lady, as I say.
Her feet are quite sufficient for a weight.
But not bearing for mine, or theirs, in fact. Is that a weight you wish upon your king? Good girl. Now we need a fork and knife.
Marigold hands Hendrik the utensils.
Why, thank you. You are indeed the generous host. I warrant you, you will want some smaller bites than my beastly, burly soldiers eat. I'll cut your meal into smaller sizes.
Hendrik begins to cut the food.
You pig, I need not you nor any man.
Fortuna tries to grab the fork and knife. He grabs her hand before she can.
Oh, my lady, but see you do. For singing badinage, your throat is wide. For eating meat, your lips are closely kept. My cutting slighter bits is reason blessed. Your appetite, being whetted by the meal's small frames, The bigger game you'll soon invite.
Give me the knife and fork to do the rest.
Denying me the pleasure of the act? Oh, nay, sweet lady, never, never that.
Hendrik holds up a bite of food on the fork. Michael yells and jumps at Hendrik, but the soldiers are faster.
No!
One soldier pulls Michael back into a headlock.
The thing is, I have no need for reckless men. But really, what's your choice? What will it be?
Fortuna stares at Hendrik and reluctantly opens her mouth. He feeds her.
Good girl. Well trained. And swallowing it all.
Hendrik plucks another bite from the plate.
Another bite to follow fast the first.
He holds the fork up to Fortuna's mouth and waits for her to open it. She does. He puts the food inside. She chews. He watches. She swallows.
And yet another better than the last.
Hendrik holds up another bite. She opens her mouth.
Your manners are impeccable, my dear. But here, embrace this napkin at the chin. Some juices try to dribble down your neck.
He wipes her face with a napkin, then readies another portion. Her mouth is clamped shut.
Open up the passage for my fork, or else a needless pricking will result.
Fortuna glares at him, but she opens her mouth.
Ah, there's the hole this morsel wants to see. Chew well. That one was bigger than the last.
Fortuna chews.
Close to finish. One last and final piece.
Hendrik holds the last bite up to Fortuna. Slowly, she opens her mouth. He places the fork inside. She closes her mouth. He smoothly slides out the fork. She takes a long time chewing. Finally, she swallows.
Delicious. Baker, take away the plate.
The soldiers holding Michael relax their grip and he slumps to the floor.
Satisfied?
Fortuna stares blankly at the table.
Satisfied your hunger, have I then? When it returns again, I will ensure, as I have now, to allocate the best of sustenance to please thy whiny pang. Less would never suit my lovely wife.
What?
Of course you couldn't call your guard against me. So eager were you for my loving arms. For years we've stood and watched the pompous kings of Giraban so blatantly ignore their people's rights again and once again. Just waiting for the time when you and I, two people who so dearly love the world, could rid the kingdom of its royal fiends and fix the crown with righteous leadership and honest government and faithfulness. Of course, we kept our secret plans quite close, so as to field suspicion from the king. However, reunited as we are, we'll tell them all and celebrate the new, enduring land we've saved, and finally complete our love in matrimony's kiss. We'll wed before the sun sets tomorrow day.
I'll never wed you, you wicked pig.
Think you still hold within this realm a drop of faculty that threatens me? My soldiers own this keep, and I own you!
I see the intrigue. You would have usurp our Giraban. And marrying the king, you seal your invasion legally.
What hindrance can be sunder than my plan? Your Basil's gone into hiding, and you will not return to salvage what is left of you when I and they, and I again, are through.
And if I die before my final death with you,
Don't guard your body ardently till then.
your serpent hands beware the axe may fall.
Soldiers, please escort her to bed. She's tired and full and needs her privacy. Oh, Michael, please go with them. Men, retire him to his chambers till the proper time.
Exit soldiers dragging a limp Michael and Fortuna bound and pushed along behind him.
Tonight's a festive evening. Now, chop chop. We dine upon the timely hour of 8. Should anything cause hindrance to our feast, I'll pack its owner with the fatty meat.
Hendrik grabs an apple, takes a bite, then exits. Baker, Jester, and Marigold stare at the ground. Act 3, Scene 3. The city's public, a small and dusty space filled with books. Enter Basil, reading one.
The warrior clothed himself with ruddy spear, adorning from the outside that which soon would bear the colors of his noble heart, prepared to sacrifice his lifeblood star for country, love, and family. He did part upon the drawing of the moon across the sky. Oh, fancy that courageous cavalier, embracing death for such inconstant jewels as country, love, and family? Were he not a wiser fool to flee in solitude toward country that demanded men stay home, towards love that bid the other self-preserve, towards family that arose to take his place? What folly then is lauded on this page? This mediocre hero just invokes the fear of disrespect in dumber men, who, afraid of earning shame for staying put, abandon selfish thought to arm against an enemy, all enemies so long as sacrifice will win him honor's seal. There's nothing so worth fighting for to make my heart enthusiastic for the stake, and yet a touch of guilt besmirches me. My country's being taken, and I hide. A better prince would arm himself with nerve, but here I am, talking to a book. A stupid book.
Basil tosses the book onto the floor and takes up another.
Oh yeah, here's another plot. Plot is even worse. With throbbing heart and calculated pulse, she wondered, should he tell his love his thoughts? The beauty of her image in his mind was near enough to cause his senses lose their sense and topple him into the rush of thinking oft and oftener of naught but her sweet face. Oh, come on, what a dolt! And vain he'd whisper, calloused from false hopes, desiring she would his love requite, and make a monster wholesome with her kiss. He would undo his heartstrings for the miss, but she'd, with lots of laughter and scorn his words. So he, who was a man, becomes a pail to catch the rain of her abusive hate. To love and tell your love is vicious game. Love's impatient, love is cruel, love, it wants all things, at all times, jealousy. Love fails the fool believer she ensnares, transforming from a first appearing friend to angry ants that bite internally the flesh for which they once did swoon and crow. Pre-disillusioned lovers seek the feast of eating one another in their lust. What leftovers of partial selves remain after the revelation of the fact that men and women are both faulty food. And yet, sweet love goes knocking at my door. Ah, be gone, fell Cupid, with your stupid wings. My worry for Fortuna is the same as any other man would note were he acquainted with the lady. That is all. No tug can pull me near the castle gate to aid the woman who ignored my word and bid me stuff my face into a ditch.
A muffled sound of boots on wood is heard.
Ah, but soft, I hear the rhythm of approach. I'll act the ignorant elder man who knows no knowledge but this crown of fools.
Enter 3 soldiers.
What sort of prince would hide himself in a library?
Sort of bloke who likes books.
God-awful hold of cheers, if you ask me.
Didn't ask you. Does the prince like books?
They say he does. Says he's an intellectual.
You know what those are best for? Roasting up Spitfire.
And feeding to the dogs.
What up? Who's there? Come out now or I'll be forced to persuade you.
Basil creeps around the shelf wearing the hat and hiding his face.
Men. Always violent and breaking people. Who are you, old man? State your office. Just an old geezer. I own this library.
What's your name?
Collins. Philip Collins. All the public buildings were cleared an hour ago. You're not supposed to be here.
Yeah, what are you doing here in this library, Mr. Collins? Planning something?
No. Just taking care of my sweeties, my babies, my books. You see, I don't got no children of my own. These is everything. What, this book here?
The soldier picks up a book and throws it on the floor.
Oh, my. Now, who could have done that?
Not a very good dad now, are you?
Here's another. Perhaps the shelf. No, please.
Aye, the shelf. Topple it over. We want them babies to have a good time.
Push the shelf into Basil, who hops out of the way just in time.
I think I'll keep these pages for when I need relieving.
Now stop! Stop, you beast! Cease this treachery!
Shut your trap, old man. We'll do whatever he wants to do. Okay?
Oh, monsters.
Thinks he's got a right to speak. Thinks he's got the right to tell us what he thinks.
Yeah, no wonder you people picked that pretty thing in the palace. Call yourselves progressive with all your talking and talking and talking.
Yeah, but she won't be talking long. Hendrik has her wrapped around his little finger. Big finger, too.
I heard she's got all kinds of fingering up her sleeve.
Yeah, who wouldn't with a morsel like her?
Yeah, wait until he marries her. That bitch will learn to boo.
Basil throws himself at them.
Hey, get him off! Get him off me!
They fight. The soldiers are efficient and well trained. Without a sword, there is little Basil can do. He puts up a fight, but they subdue him and bind him in ropes.
If I only had my sword, you'd all be dead.
But you don't have a sword.
Sucks to be you.
Well, where are you taking me?
To the castle, there to hang.
You hang the prince that you were sent to seek?
Oh, he's to be kept alive.
Yeah, no such hope for you.
And what if I am the prince?
What's this?
I am Prince Basil, whom you seek.
Like hell you are.
Is he lying, boss?
No, I think he's honest. I mean, he's hiding in a library. Who would do with that but a prince who loves books? They say Basil loves books. Not all he loves, from what I hear. You know, didn't even care enough for the lady up top to protect her. Some prince, eh? Likely enough this one's the guy. If he's not, why? Wrap him up.
Exit the soldiers, dragging Basil with them. Act 3, Scene 4. Enter Hendrik and Fortuna on a balcony. Although the crowd below cannot see Hendrik's hand, he is holding Fortuna's wrist very tightly.
Ladies, gentlemen, children, husbands, wives, today I am adorned in awe of you. Your kingdom is quite glorious to behold. The ethic of your people truly rings in every conversation I maintain. The cadence of your honor is a song that echoes back the story of its name. If I may ask your forgiveness for our siege, I'll also speak that I intend to reign with the integrity yourselves do teach.
Fortuna struggles forward as if she would throw herself over the balcony, but Hendrik grips her arm viciously and swirls her back to meet him face to face.
What's more, to keep in check my saintly pride, I have the best companion at my side.
Hendrik turns back to Fortuna and speaks only to her.
Smile. Smile for your people, Queen.
Hendrik twists Fortuna's wrist against the joint.
Your hopes for better circumstances will indulge with swift efficiency. For though you be our subjects, we submit to you, and always we will dutifully provide the means for your immeasurable happiness. From this day forward, everything we do for you,
The crowd begins to clap and cheer lightly.
I now invite you all to celebrate. Fortuna has agreed to be my wife. I've loved her from a distance all this time. But now, at last, today, we will be wed. For ours, though brief and manifest, is quite an overwhelming passion. Now, sweet love, announce it with a kiss upon my lips. The love you will forever bear for me.
Hendrik turns to Fortuna, back to him. He still has a firm hold on her hand. She attempts to swim away, he breaks her wrist. Hendrik tightens his grip. She glares at him and fights to hold back tears. With immense effort, Fortuna kisses Hendrik and allows her lips to linger on his. The crowd of citizens begins to clap, then to cheer.
And so, with you I win the cheering prize of those whose country courtesy belies.
Exit Hendrik and Fortuna. Act 4, Scene 1. Back to the city streets. Enter Bruno, Leon, Samson, and Concelia.
The lad is simply nowhere to be found.
What can we do? The castle's overrun.
And Hendrik just announced he's marrying Fortuna. Basil will have heard this news, and though he does pretend a woundless face, if I know him at all, he won't be glad.
We should set fire to the castle, and then...
We cannot burn the castle down, Leon.
Oh, yes, we can. to steal our girl and wed her in a day, the kind of knave you burn alive.
Leon.
They won't suspect Sir Bruno or myself, since we are, old and wrinkled. They'll assume we're slow, and so we are. But still, our Samson we can costume as a nut. A crazy man who talks and jests and jokes. The lady that they'll not harm. What say you, friends?
I think we'll need a cleverer disguise.
Enter 4 soldiers, drunk.
Look, 4 soldiers, drunk. Hello there.
My, you are all rather intoxicated, aren't you?
Have you not heard? They arrested that whiny-ass prince.
Yeah, we've got no orders but to enjoy ourselves.
Basil's been found then. What should we do?
Ooh, what's this? A good-looking woman? Come here, wench, and sit on my knee.
Hands off your maiden, foul wretch!
Oh, best watch your tongue, lad, or my sword shall find your gut.
Samson steals a sword from one of the drunk soldiers.
And mine into yours.
One soldier looks angrily at his friend, who just shrugs.
He was really fast.
My lady will endure neither harm nor dishonor, and so you will duel me, sir.
Oh, I'll let my sword with his!
Bruno disarms the soldier.
Then mine as well will join the fight.
Oh, well, how about that?
I'll whip you juveniles into soufflés!
Steal another sword for me, will you?
I will. I'd side with you in every bet.
They fight. The drunk soldiers are completely out of it. They hold up their hands and surrender.
Well, sport seems to have left, but here's a sword.
Thank you, sir.
Concelia lacks finesse, but she pummels 2 soldiers to the ground with the hilt of the sword.
Take that, you loathsome beetle!
I've not had that much fun in quite some time.
You are fierce with a blade, Concelia.
A bricklayer knows how to knock out teeth.
What a woman you are.
And what a man you shall become when we are finished here.
What?
Our clever disguise, the soldiers' uniforms.
That's a thought. Would be good one if these clothes didn't make me want to...
Leon!
No, what? The bastards probably never bathe except in beer.
Leon, let it go.
Of course, you wouldn't know the importance of bathing.
Both of you, stop fighting and pull the bodies out of sight.
They each grab a body to drag.
I could have died happily. Now I'll wear a drunk man's sweat.
Bruno smacks Leon's arm and they all exit. Act 4, Scene 2. Enter Basil tied and escorted by 3 soldiers.
Get yourself into them walls, prince.
Toss him into the bricks. That's a pretty good toss-up there.
Beware you be too cruel in handling me and earn a prince's reckoning and on.
What fancy words he uses. Thinks they'll win us over.
Thinks we care what he thinks we think.
I'll let Henrik know he's here.
Careful not to barge in on him and the bride to being had.
Does he taste the wedding feast before it's laid?
Better yet, he lays the feast himself.
The perversion of your speech is abominable.
And there ain't nothing you can do about it. How's that feel? Huh?
Tie him up, take him to the dungeon.
Will do, chief.
Enter Baker with a rolling pin, Jester with a frying pan, and Marigold with a wooden cutting board.
Take that, you blindly fool! Here's the end of your stomach and the surface for your nose!
Arm yourselves, men!
Marigold knocks one soldier over the head, the Jester and Baker knock out the other 2.
Now we'll cut you free if you don't mind.
Madam! And you, dear Baker and Jester, oh, you beautiful souls, you're just wonderful people, you know that. When I return to Princeton, as soon as I shall do, I will reward you, each of you, more than you can imagine.
Really, I can imagine quite a lot.
Better praise us another time, my prince. And Henrik and Fortuna's wedding is in an hour, and since she now wears the crown, if he marries her, he'll legally seal himself as king.
Where is she?
In the queen's waiting room, my lord. They've left the guard outside her door, but you should be able to get through the side passage. They haven't found it yet.
I'll go this instant, thank you. Wait, tell me your name.
Well, I'm the baker sire.
No, I mean your real name, your first name.
Oh, Jeffrey?
Are you sure?
My lord. Geoffrey.
Basil very awkwardly shakes the baker's hand.
Okay, now, Chester, before I leave.
Oh, don't you want to know my name?
Everybody knows your name. It's Fritz Wallace. Now tell me, Fritz, can you spread a message to the public? Tell the people of Yerevan I hear their cries and I will swiftly destroy Prince Hendrik. Tell them their prince calls upon them to rise up and fight. I call forth the conscript army. When the trumpets sing our anthem from the castle walls, let every male and female raise arms against their captors. Mind you, wait for the trumpets.
Yes, my lord.
Excellent. Now, take these men and dress in their garb. Play the part of soldiers for the time being. By the way, Marigold, always nice to see you.
What?
Go now, all of you, and meet me at the wedding.
Marigold drags the other two away.
My pride now quakes with bells tolling its death. My heart though sings with love's potential breath.
Exit Basil. Act 4, Scene 3. Fortuna sits at a vanity, looking in the mirror. Her wrist is newly splintered and wrapped.
What's in a glass to tell the lady fair how fair she is by all the world's compare? No glass but that which breaks upon a stone and proves itself a flawed and mortal throne. Long ago the queen sang that to me, when I would for appearance were sick. She'd take my face with her smooth hands and send the ocean of her eyes into my own, calming the fear and dissonance within, and her dancing waters like water to my thirst for someone just to notice me. I miss her.
Enter Basil from a side door, unseen.
Now 10 years gone, and yet her memory is vivid imagery. The entire course of life I've led with all my strength and power, with all my wins and stakes of politics, with all my gestures, all my winsome wit, all my striving, all my loving gifts to those whose need did burn inside my heart is gone away and efforts gladly given. And yet I'm once again before a mirror, restored to the woman's worry I'd escaped. Prophet of my state arrives with this unkind friend, whose mocks demand ambition, bow its striving head before the cracks it loudly denies. Prepare thee for thy wedding, spoke the wretched man who steals my hand. Drown me in the dirt and let me rust, for him to wed and bed is be made dead.
Your death would rouse the sweetest salty drops, whose tasting would undo their pardon, and their patron would make from man a weeping willow. Pray you live.
Who's there?
The one who knows your depths, as you know his.
I know your voice, your shape, your face, your eyes, but these, the words which spoke that voice, cannot belong to it, for they were kind, and smoked of tenderness. Apparently you've changed your tactics, sir, from blunt, malicious lies to false, sarcastic praise, and so I die.
My tongue would swelter with such a response, but that it's on a mission to perfect more honest and direct address. Therefore, Fortuna, hate you not my words, for they were kindly given. Tenderness has found a home in me, though hard to be believed.
How came you to this quarter, sir? 'Tis told you had abandoned Yerevan to save the honor of your hide, which needs a little tamming to be rightly yours.
How came you to this court? You sit bedaubed in wedding garments, and you stare into an empty piece of glass. This gloom does not reflect the woman that I know.
Oh, what woman might that be? You claim to know my character, and yet my very voice appalls you, as you've told me many times. Truly, Basil, what purpose brings you here?
Basil moves closer to Fortuna, close enough to see her bandaged wrist.
I've come to rescue you.
Let wonder fall in waves upon my head.
I am serious.
The prince will stoop so low as to help a girl out.
Do not jest, Fortuna.
Said the hog.
What has he done to you? He's broken your wrist.
Oh, 'tis nothing when compared to your foul stench.
What words could swiftly charge you my heart?
No words can ever undo the hurt you've wrought. 'Tis far too long embedded in my skin, as has become my permanent countenance.
The pain which I have caused you all these years arrests my very soul. How right you were to fight with all your strength against the one who cruelly persecuted your attention.
Basil, what humility you play! Such aggravating softness in your speech. Where did you unearth these sudden gifts?
I have of late perceived I'm an ass.
Heavens above, record those words for blackmail.
My arrogance could pull the devil's horns and yet remain alive. Such have I been my whole life long. But I regret that now.
Go to.
You think I lie?
What proof have I to trust your preachy fluff?
Could I, who long has rendered you my foe, even whisper words of love without clamping my lips to quell the ugly taste? But perchance the sentiment was true.
Love?
Yes, Fortuna. Love.
Rather troubling subject, don't you think?
The wings inside my stomach would agree.
Train them, then, to calm their fluttering.
I would not, for all the world. Their pulse arouses good in me that I have never known.
Basil moves to Fortuna and caresses her injured hand. She doesn't stop him.
Revenge will soon be yours, I swear it true.
They beat our Michael. They beat him to a pulp.
Michael's tough, but not as tough as you.
He pigeoned me with pain in front of them, coercing my affection. Oh, would that I were stronger, made of stone, for they believe the lie, that we comported in the siege. So we could rule together, man and wife. I should have tossed my body from that rail, but courage left me when he broke my wrist. Scared to die by honor, scared to live.
You cannot fault yourself for this, Fortuna.
If I had not been crippled by selfishness, that man would not have made it through the day.
If I had not abandoned you, I too might have accomplished such a feat. Of course, then I might have never realized the love I bear for you, which brought me back.
Whence came this recognition you call love?
From that sentimental organ which I've learned gives courage to its slave, the self-pronounced.
Keep your heart. I know its darkness far, far better than I could have ever hoped.
Oh, you are too eager to endure. Remove your cunning for just a moment's time and ease the anger starting in my mouth with listening intently to my heart.
Nay, instead inform me where you found it. To be so changed a man is to proclaim in jest this very seriousness of love.
To think that you should soon be Hendrik's wife, a slave to cruelty, lust, and violence. This did wake a sleeping monster to stir so fierce, it portioned out my hearts into parts, worth sacrificing for your honor all. All pieces of myself I'd abdicate with joy for gaining she whose only goal has ever been to wreck and ruin me. For she alone is suited to the flood of language in my soul. She is my match. She is the only subject on my tongue. My words invariably of her and her and her again, her beauty and her mind intoxicate the very essence of the air. Oh, that I could but stay protected in my cage. The walls I had strengthened time and time again. But she calls forth the man I'd like to be. I would not, could not jest, so here, I love you. Now and evermore I will. So, I've spilled my heart. I hope you like the taste.
With more indulgence than I'll allow.
Oh, my dear, you've given me to hope.
Wait! I do require something else.
What more you ask, I'll happily provide, but quickly, we must leave before they come.
Apologize for 14 years ago.
Wait, what?
I've yet to hear the words of pardon spill from lips of mercy, which are mine, which means that you have yet to ask for mercy's stream.
Forgive me, for I was the wretched boy I was, whose pride would suffer no one by his side.
I would prefer you specify your speech.
Forgive me for humiliating you in public. It was wrong, as I have learned.
Some details are yet lacking.
How detailed need this be this reconciling be?
The full of it will out, dear Basil, if you truly seek my honor and my love.
Forgive me for projecting cups of wine on your person in the midst of court and calling you a common baby girl who never would amount to anything.
Oh, yes, yeah, that was so much fun for me. What more?
For announcing to the wide nobility your love for me, which I would never requite because you'd make a palsy of a king and tear apart his solitary power.
Something else, I think, perhaps, that you forgot?
Forgive me for exuberantly laughing in your face and then encouraging, successfully, the court to do the same. Forgive me for denouncing you a witch because you were at heart an evil female dog.
A bitch.
Yes.
You called me a bitch.
Well, I may have done that. Yes, all right, I did.
There she is. My wound, my constant hurt, in all her lovely, intricate details.
I was a dumb and brazen little prince.
I never thought such words would ever breathe. Never thought my heart would beat again the way it did before you sent it back.
A knock is heard at the door.
You got 5 minutes, lady. 5 minutes.
Mary, not before.
I'm Milan, you were here. That changes things.
Fortuna goes to him, grabs his tunic, and starts pulling it off.
Oh, now take your clothes off and quick before they. Oh, shine your eyes of wonder. I have a plan. Behind the arras is a dress, a wedding dress, which you must wear, not me, to sneak you in. Right under Hendrik's nose. I'll dress myself as you and bring a sword, and then I'll beg a bloody, manly duel with Prince Hendrik.
What about your wrist?
And the wrist he broke is not my fighting hand. And yes, you will defend me, and you must from all of Hendrik's soldiers who will try to rescue him and overtake our fight. Let me claim one man, and you take the rest.
All right, all right. Still, I need something else.
What?
Apologize for how you treated me across these bitter, lonely 14 years.
I will no such thing, for my behavior was quite justified with wrath most fairly born. Come on and let it go, we've little time.
Burn it up in there.
I've yielded you my heart, but will wrest it back if I do not receive yours.
You have my heart. You have had it all these years. It was that heart that loathed you with a fire, because the love it bore you could not bear to be so far removed. How far you cast me off. How hard to fall from loving you to loving you while knowing you cared not. Igniting then my passion once for you toward your ruin and also your death.
Fortuna shoves Basil behind the arras. He sticks his head out in protest.
My death?
I would not be your killer, but I hope that someone else might do the deed.
More loud knocks on the door. Basil throws his clothes over the arras. Fortuna puts them on.
1 minute.
It's time.
You hated me and you were mean, admit it.
Okay, I did. I hated you when I was mean. Can you forgive me? My passionate, vehement love for you?
All right.
Basil comes up from behind the curtain wearing Fortuna's wedding gown and carrying her veil.
It fits!
Would the heavens not be informed of this?
Basil places the veil on his head.
I'm counting to 3 and then I'm breaking down this door.
I'll hide. Go.
1.
I'll do my best to play the part of you, though I would never know what parts remain, for you are undiscovered brilliance.
2.
Fortuna hides. Basil opens the doors. The soldiers escort him away.
Could hope or hate or mercy ever guess that Basil would profess his love to me? Oh, in faith, my heart is all aflight tonight. Come all that may, I leave this mirror's sting and say that Basil is good fortune's king.
Exit Fortuna. Act 5. Scene 1. The pillars and tree are decked in white flowers while others cover the floor. Trumpet players warm up their instruments. Enter Hendrik and his soldiers, as well as Bruno, Leon, Samson, Concelia, Jester, Baker, and Marigold dressed in the uniforms they stole. Fortuna enters dressed in Basil's clothes. Michael and a disguised Basil stand off to the side, ready for the aisle walk. Michael is bruised and battered, but stands tall. He takes a deep, emotional breath. Only Basil can hear his words.
My lady, if I may. You must still fight. I know I disappointed you. I failed to shield you. As a king and as a friend. But this capitulation is a death more fatal than your martyrdom is worth. I beg you, let us think of something else. Something more than forfeiting your life.
Basil looks at Michael, but stops himself from speaking beneath the veil.
I cannot bear to see your spirit mute. I never will forgive myself. But still, a man who loves another cannot stop from stopping her destruction, even if his power only shortly stalls the time.
Basil breathes in deeply.
Oh, Michael, I was not expecting this. It's making me tear up beneath this veil.
What the?
Yes, I'm moved. I'm truly moved. I promised not to tell the rest of it, how sweet you were. You know, Leon would never let you hear the end of it.
How did you... How?
Fortuna is a genius, what can I say? And someone wise once told me something true. A man who loves another cannot stop from stopping her destruction, even me. And, by the way, she loves you too, my friend. You never disappointed her at all.
Michael starts to speak, but suddenly trumpets drown him out. Both he and Basil look to the head of the throne room where the priest takes his place and clears his throat.
Welcome all to celebrate this day, upon which our beloved Lady High, Fortuna, who our votes elected to before the king so voice and share our needs, shall wed the Prince of Farron, Lord Hendrik. Welcome you who witness as they join in holy matrimony our two lands. I welcome you to celebrate this day and exalt the soon united force which they shall be within our kingdom.
Good, old man. Begin the trumpet call, bringing forth my wife in wedding's lace.
Indeed, begin the woman's hour.
Begin!
The trumpets play a happy tune. Michael escorts the disguised Basil down the aisle.
He makes a blushing bride in veil disguised. 'Tis me he plays, and knows my walk so well. With secret joy I feel in seeing him go over to the acting of the part.
The walk is done. The trumpets subside. Michael kisses Basil's cheek and leaves him at the altar.
Sure wisdom now compels me to profess that we are gathered to this wedding here before the public eyes of Giribon, who for shame could not attend today, as they are captives in their homes. But still, the union strongly will announce, and the papers will persist.
To the point, old man, I'll have my bride.
Of course, O Lord of the invading Farron. Whatever you insist, we will perform. O people of the court and soldiers all, this wedding does perfect the ransom state wherein Lord Hendrik gains the crown which now Fortuna wears, thus making Hendrik king. Unless within this congregation lives a soul opposed and prepared to fight against the devastation I see.
Enough, old man! Get thee to the part we are wed.
Ah, yes, that part. I know that part quite well. Do you, Lord Hendrik, Prince of Farron, with all your heart and strength, take to wed Fortuna, stewardess of Giribon?
I do, with all my heart and strength.
Do you, Fortuna, lady of the court, beloved by the people and once chosen to protect from decisions of this sort, which toss them lightly into dictators' hands, with all your heart and strength, here take to wed Lord Hendrik, Prince of Farron?
Do not. Indeed, I passionately refuse.
Whose voice is that?
Basil lifts the veil.
Good evening, friend, or foe, as truth is told.
Basil! Ah, good fortune now arrives! Arrest this man! The Prince of Giribon has finally shown his face. Where is the girl?
Here I am, my lord.
Oh, God, you make me laugh. Put down the sword before you hurt yourself.
Your purposes could never guide her hand.
Michael comes forward. He nods to Fortuna. She smiles and nods back.
Also, she's a master with the blade, I know, because I taught her myself.
What kind of woman masters violent means?
The warrior kind.
My bet is on the lady in the boots.
Soldiers kill him and seize that woman now.
Hendrik's soldiers lunge forward. Those loyal to Basil and Fortuna reveal their swords.
One step closer and I'll own your ass.
And I will do the same.
Friends! I found my friend.
Good. More blood for me to spill.
The fighting begins. Samson quickly tosses Basil a sword.
I guess you might need one of these, eh, Prince?
How glad I am to see you. How did you...
Good to see you, sir. We know you like to talk, but no talking till we win.
The lion has his hunt and he devours!
Leon charges a soldier to the floor and starts punching him. Basil fights near Michael.
Michael, where are the trumpeters?
Fled or fighting either, I'm not sure.
Basil wounds the soldier with whom he is fighting.
Rally them and find their instruments and play our anthem from the castle walls. Their song will cue rebellion in the streets, which you must join and lead to victory.
I will, my lord.
I prepared the fire in their hearts. I will go to feed the flames.
And I will go as well. Come, wife. Our purpose calls.
Let's bash some heads into some walls.
Exit Michael, Jester Baker, and Marigold.
Men! Where are your guts? Come on, engage!
Yes, engage, but leave the prince to me.
Soldiers attempt to reach Fortuna and Hendrik, who fight each other, but Basil stops them all. Leon continues to tackle soldiers, while Bruno, Samson, and Concelia continue with swords.
Come, my wench. Dance with me for sport.
Oh, trash you speak, and trash is your reward. Oh, is that blood? It is, and running down. Oh, what could ever cover such a scar? None but a new face, which you had need of long before this lovely fight began.
Says the lady too involved in wit to guard her neck. Slash, a hit! Come, come, sly woman, I will yet demolish thee.
They flit about in fierce competition. Fortuna is very good, Hendrik equally so.
Your skills improve with practice.
Yours decreases as you tire.
What, tire? I've got the energy of kings. Upon the instant of my victory.
Hendrik peels back Fortuna's hand, trying to break her still good wrist, and render her sword out of use. But she takes that moment to kiss him violently on the lips. Completely thrown off guard, Hendrik loses his grip. She twists free and stabs him in the heart.
Take your victory, a kiss of death.
Hendrik falls off of her sword and slowly dies. Basil approaches the bar. Fortuna follows him. Fortuna closes Hendrik's eyes and folds his hands over his chest.
I've never met anyone like you.
As long as I can be myself with you, you'll never have need of another me again.
Basil and Fortuna survey the damage. Most, if not all, of Hendrik's soldiers are still alive, though they bear hefty wounds and lack their swords, which Leon has collected. Their leader dead, the soldiers have been easily corralled by Samson and Concelia, both of whom carry 2 swords apiece. Blessing each soldier as he goes, the priest removes the soldiers' belts and hands them to Bruno, who uses them to bind the men. Basil and Fortuna approach the group to help. Concelia offers her swords to Fortuna with a curtsy.
My lady, your expertise in weaponry is quite impressive. I voted for you. Very glad to see you make a wretch of that wicked prince. What's your name, valiant lady?
Though many times I asked her this, she refused to
I'm Concelia. Oh.
But of course, she tells you.
I am a commoner, my lady, but stumbled upon your prince and his companions and found no better entertainment than their misconceptions. I like this woman.
She tends to wow very easily and very quickly.
She has stolen my heart.
Sir?
I love thee, sweet and wise Concelia. I've never found a match so true as you. If you would take my hand in marriage vows, I'd happily be your husband all my life.
Kill one groom, another's born.
What a proud and pleasant pair you two would make.
I do consent with all my heart and strength, for both will serve you best and keep you strict.
I would not have you any other way, but with all the wiliness you bring.
Trumpets play from the castle walls. A wave of battle cries erupts from the city.
Ha ha! The citizens have taken back the streets! And that reminds me, you, my dear, quite sourly shunned the people when you could have called upon their service. What have you to say?
Excuse me, sir. What place have I to ask the people give their lives away for me? I represent them. I am not their king.
You would have saved the castle being took.
However justified their sacrifice, I could not ask it of them. Could not. Lack the constitution that would win a war with death. But I would rather die myself than others waste their lives for me.
Enter Michael.
My lords and ladies, news you'll not believe.
What news, sweet scholar?
Suddenly, the sound of the trumpets becomes a heralding call. Joyful.
The king is in the midst of his return. His trumpet sound about a mile away.
A mile? How?
My lord, I do not know, but so he comes.
So he went to France. All right, we'll bring him hither when he does.
Michael exits.
I knew I never would be king for long.
I know no better person for the task.
Good, my lord.
Am I deaf or are they being nice?
Both.
Can it be that something's brought them near?
Let's wait and watch. Fortuna, you are beauty, mind, and soul. I hate that I spent years believing you a froward, fool-born harpy to detest.
Well, I knew you for the same in manly shape. A frothy, rum-fed lout who caught my eye.
I caught your eye,
You did.
and you caught mine.
Is this actually happening?
Yes, Leon, be quiet.
It's been too long in coming.
Basil takes Fortuna's hands in his.
Would you, Fortuna, knower and perceiver of my heart, be wife to me, until the world removes its garments and arrays itself in stars, destroys the oceans and pours them into the abyss? For time's eternal gift in which we live, will you agree to chart my paths and happily marry me? Submission was never a word I'd speak until I realized that to entrust myself to you would be the greatest joy, the sweetest loss of self in finding us. What answer have you for the short address?
Though I be blind to all that's in the past, I could not answer yes to your request, for I have long been stationed in the thought that yielding to another is ill-judged. So doing makes the individuals a dull amalgam without any life or sense or fun or personality. I could not answer yes to this. Unless I could not see myself in any life but that sweet loss of self in being knit unto a man I'd never leave, forsake the world and all its single pleasantries. I am me when I am next to you. With this condition, I am bound to state that I can answer and do answer yes.
Sweet gods above, their wit is wound in love.
I am undone to hear you turn the cards and trick my heart with nays and say yes.
Do not begin to think that I'll subside in wit or passion spirit as a wife.
A woman built as such would never tempt this prince. 'Tis you and only you, my dear.
Then let it be.
Amen, finally.
An almost sad occasion turns to smiles, and yet my eyes brim water filled with joy.
Handsome Bruno, you are very dear.
Enter the soldiers of Giribon, who look to both Fortuna and Basil. Fortuna looks to Basil, who nods in the direction of Hendrik's men.
Remove these men and place them in the cells.
The men of Giribon surround the captives, force them to stand, and start to escort them to the dungeon. Suddenly, loud trumpets again! Enter the king, Michael, Jester, Baker, and Marigold.
What bodies lay bloody caroling while others stand in rapture at their necks?
Good father, welcome back to Giribon.
Basil, what the devil do you wear?
I was once in a wedding as a bride, but soon instead will stoop to be a groom.
This wedding married death with little time. Where is Fortuna, she who flaunts our crown and made no effort to protect our gates from cuckold bloody Farron? Where is the miss?
Here I am, your highness. I admit I made no conscript army for myself, though king in word my duty was their lives.
Your failure screams of ineffective pride.
Father, bite your tongue. Her one mistake resulted from compassion. She was quite the perfect leader, much to our chagrin.
Do perfect leaders contradict their king? Be still. I know your anger is deserved. I left the kingdom not within your hands, and yet you overcame this woman's dearth of fortitude and took our castle back with courage and humility and swords.
My efforts matched the courage of my friend, who thought to fool Prince Hendrik with this dress, thus bringing all his soldiers to one place, the wedding where our slaughter ate its full. 'Twas she, Fortuna, killed the prince, not me.
But you did keep me clear of all of his men.
along with Samson, Bruno, Concilia, Leon, Fitzwallace, Geoffrey, and his wife, and Michael, who announced the trumpet call that roused the current upheaval in the streets, which you, dear father, managed to avoid. Pray tell, how did you do that, Father King?
I always knew that pitting you against Fortuna's stewardship would make you wise.
What is this you speak?
Fortuna's utter flop inspired you to be a better leader, and the chance of ruin at her hands required you to reconcile your sophomoric arrogance with valuing your kingdom's safety first. We watched the castle, took and even took back by you, our son, who now is fit to lead.
More fit than you who watched his country fall. Watched? Did you watched the episode? Allow me then to clarify the plot. If any aid I gave to Garibaldi, 'twas for the one I could not bear to lose, Fortuna, who I love and will soon wed.
The same unruly woman who despised your every step and turn.
A match to whom I happily submit.
What news is this?
The best, my lord. We'll tell the story soon. They love each other, and they always have.
Oh, bloody hell, a ruler rules alone.
Basil's about to respond, but Fortuna beats him to it.
My thoughts were similar, dear brutal king, who I now understand devised my fall. Like son, like father, yes? Except your son has largely checked his character, while you insult me past the well which guards my tears. But I will not respond with enmity, and truth I cannot, for I once believed in solitary power, as we preach. You did not think a woman could be smart enough, acute enough, gutsy, or robust enough to rule a kingdom wisely, but I did. And I too believed the strongest rules alone. I too believed that sharing power meant my weakness rather than my strength, until I learned upon my almost death, as marriage to that villain would have been, as the usurping of my homeland would have been, that on my own I am not enough. I cannot win all battles, nor dare fix the world and be its savior. I am strong, indeed, but I am only one woman. Thinking I was capable as king was no mistake. But if I think myself immune to arrogance and pride, immune to needing, wanting others by my side, I am a fool. And so I thank thee, king, for giving me a chance to learn my faults.
What gentle angel trained you in your speech, which makes of me an introspective man?
And the angel, she your wife, the queen. She was the only mother I ever called mine.
I think perhaps I was wrong about you.
As was I, good father, as was I.
Sorry for bursting into the bubble talk, but perhaps a little bubbly is in order. This is a celebration, yes. Also, you said, Prince Basil, that we'd be rewarded handsomely for our courage. As for my reward, I would like to marry Marigold. Just for the last time. It has a nice ring to it. Marry Marigold.
I am already married, you fool.
Even the king cannot undo a marriage contract.
I figured I would at least attempt the kingly law.
You will be rewarded, Jester, indeed. Let's begin with your bubbly and the feast that was prepared for Hendrik and his men.
What shall I do?
Enjoy the meal. We'll need you soon enough.
Basil, you have much to tell me. More than what I scheduled when I left.
I'll happily teach you all of the riches you unknowingly ordained for me. But let it rest for now, and count me fortune's king.
Basil offers Fortuna his hand. She takes it. He draws her hand to his mouth and kisses it. She does the same to his. They smile.
Come, everyone, to feast and be at peace.
Basil leads Fortuna out of the room. Everyone follows. As they exit, the jester approaches Marigold.
You know, we could elope.
Fitzwallace?
The baker leaps after the jester, but the jester hops out of reach and runs off stage. The baker chases him off. Everyone exits except for Leon, Bruno, and Michael. Leon walks to the large tree and pats it fondly.
I suppose progression doesn't kill the past. At least, not yet. Not yet.
Come along, you two.
Michael, Bruno, and Leon all exit together. End of play!
and seeing this become a full production, whether that's here or in some other place, please talk to me, talk to everybody else, and make contact. There's some